So before we learn about VPCs in AWS, let's learn about IP addresses in AWS. So you have the IPv4 protocol, that's the one you're most used to, I guess, which is 4.3 billion addresses. And the public IPv4s are IP addresses that can be used on the internet and that allows whatever is the IP to be publicly reachable from anywhere. So if you create an EC2 instance, we've seen that it gets a public IPv4. And what's going to happen is that if you stop the instance, the IPv4 is going to be released. And if you start it again, then it's going to get a new public IP address at launch. So this is a behavior we've seen in this course. Now, we've also seen the private IPv4. So this time, this is an IPv4 in the form, for example, of 192.168.1.1. And this is an IP that can only be used on a private network, such as your internal AWS VPC. And so these are not publicly accessible. So if you try this on your web browser, you can only access IPs within your own network. So the private IPv4 is going to be the same for your entire EC2 instance lifetime, even if you stop and restart the instance. Now, there is an elastic IP in AWS. It's a way for you to get a fixed public IPv4 address into an EC2 instance. That means that if you stop the instance and start the instance again, it will have the same public IPv4, which can be desirable. But of course, if you leave the instance stopped for a long time, then this elastic IP is used for nothing. Now, in terms of pricing, every single public IPv4 on AWS is going to be charged at $0.005 per hour. This is including the elastic IP and the normal public IPv4. And to allow you to start using AWS at no cost, in the free tier, there is 750 hours of usage per month for public IPs. So that means that AWS is trying to get you to use something else than public IPv4, which is IPv6. And so IPv6 is the newer internet protocol version, and you have a lot more addresses, so 3.4 times at the power 38 addresses. So that means you have 38 zeros in there. So it's a lot more addresses. And every IP address in this range, in IPv6 in AWS, is going to be public. There is no private range for IPv6. And so this is what an IPv6 IP address looks like, and they are free in AWS. So that means that if you want to expose some services for free from an IP standpoint on the internet, you must use IPv6. So that's it for IP addresses in AWS. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture.